Hey nerds, Farmer Jesse here. Welcome to Growers Daily, your daily dose of ecological farming insight. It is Friday, February the 13th. Ooh, that's nice and spooky, 2026. And today we are hobby farming, but literally we are taking a wild question about composting, and it's Feedback Friday. So let's do it. Or let's boo it. Can you say that in February? All right, happy Friday, everyone. I hope your weeks have come to a smooth, soft landing. I know that I'm feeling relatively good, healthy, happy, ready for Brighton to beat Liverpool tomorrow in the FA Cup and shock the world based on our recent run of play. It'll be the worst Valentine's Day gift I've ever gotten from my wife, a Liverpool supporter, but I can accept that. So while we're on the subject of seagulls, see what I did there? I'm also excited about the great backyard bird count that starts today. Like right now, you should be doing it, and goes through Monday. So get your Merlin app, and at some point today, tomorrow, Sunday is the next one, right? And then Monday, some point in any of those days, stand somewhere safe and watch for birds for around 15 minutes. It's that easy. You have 4 days to accomplish that task, the data of which will help to go towards understanding the current state of birds, which hasn't been looking good, and what we can and should do about it. So please do that for the birdies. Also, as always, don't forget to send us your 20-second farm video clips to farmermike@no-tillgrowers.com. Would love to see what things are looking like on your farms headed into the spring, or perhaps headed into the fall for you all down there in the southern hemisphere. Anyway, it is Friday, which means Feedback Friday, where we explore what you all were saying about this week's topics. On Monday, we talked spinach from seed to table and grants for market gardeners. On the grant thing, I liked this from @OneHubCap Farm, who wrote, quote, "I am extremely thankful for the EQIP NRCS grant I have that has helped pay for a well and an irrigation system. I live in an area with no city water. I'm located at the highest elevation in our county, and there are no streams nearby. NRCS helped me to drill a 600-foot deep, $17,000 well and to put in an irrigation system. Very thankful for this. The geology of the area is such that my friends in the area might have a 50-foot deep productive well, but I have a 600 deep well with 3 gallons per minute," end quote. Yeah, that's great. I mean, farming is a hard business, and it's also an extremely expensive business sometimes, especially in a situation like this. So whatever we can do to help support people getting into this business, I say let's do more of that. If you don't want to, take those funds, no one is forcing you to, but in a world where farmland is growing increasingly out of reach for most people, grants are one way we can help ensure farms stay farms. So people get so dogmatic about this stuff, but like all good things, the dynamic approach is the best approach. We also that day, I think it was that day, got a deflating video from Denver of a very dry, no snow garden, and @BradListon8990 wrote, quote, "Shout out to my dry Denver neighbor. It's going to be a crispy year. Everyone think fire safe out there. Utah is a very rough place as far as that goes as well. Parts of Salt Lake County haven't even seen 1 full inch of snow this year. Yikes, only about 20 to 30 inch base snowpack on some of our beautiful ski resorts here too. Double yikes," end quote. Oof, yeah, water, y'all. I fear we are headed into the decade of water crises that we've been warned about for many, many years, especially when you couple that with the increasing demand for water from out west for things like data centers and population booms in dry areas. We have plenty of solutions for these things, but we prefer unchecked growth and technological advancement over pragmatism and conservation. So I fear it's going to get a little bit ugly. On Tuesday, we talked about the many species of humans who once walked the earth together, valuing your own labor, and we started some seeds like out in the old greenhouse. Lots of people liked the field session, which is good to hear. And again, not a surprise. I guess my questions about that are more for the listeners and how I can make that more easy to listen to or more fun to listen to. But I also do want to know what you all think or what you'd also like to see more of in general out there in the field. Like I said, I've been farming for long enough at this point that I don't always know what is going to be super interesting to people. So it helps when you all chime in. We discussed profitability efficiency that day also, and @SlapLapdog, it's a fun one to say, although you shouldn't slap your lapdogs, wrote that they think too much focus on efficiency will lead one to not grow for market at all. And yes, this is a thing where if we were just to grow the most profitable crops and nothing else, we would just be a microgreens farm. Or just we'd only grow lettuce. And so a balance must be struck between being as efficient as possible while also, remaining diversified. At OUSA18 wrote, quote, make sure to get leg risers, adjustable legs for your seating table. Also, milk crates can be used on the table to get height up. Being ergonomic when doing those tedious tasks is a game changer. My back was hurting just watching you lean, end quote. And indeed, I am usually better about that. We use like pallets underneath of our trays or whatever. But I was literally just doing that for the camera, and it was the fastest thing to do. Nothing makes farming harder than trying to film it. But also, this is good and important point just in general. Don't bend over more than you have to. Try and make things more ergonomic for yourself. And on the Neanderthal / other human species thing, I'm not going to debate evolution on here, my lovely friends. It's a system robustly demonstrated through numerous distinct scientific disciplines, measurable and elegant. In fact, if someone wanted to convince the world of the existence of a higher power, I don't think denying evolution's existence is the way. I think showing people the profundity of that design would be a significantly more effective tactic. But again, not getting into it, although it wouldn't be Friday if I didn't, stir the pot just a little bit. Just be nice to each other, commenters. On Wednesday, we posted my seminar from the CFSA Sustainable Ag Conference, and that went over surprisingly well, honestly. I figured a long talk like that might be a little much, and I'm sure it was for some of you, but some of you regularly request longer content, so I shouldn't be so surprised. At Richard Gould, Blue Haven Farm, wrote, quote, awesome show, tough comedy crowd though, I appreciated the jokes, end quote, and thanks. But funny enough, I don't really actually remember it that way. So maybe it was the mic not picking up the laughter, or maybe I was actually not funny and I just don't notice. Truly couldn't tell you though. I have been in crowds where my jokes haven't landed at all, and those are quite memorable. I haven't been booed yet though, but I'll keep trying. Then on Thursday, we talked about working on a farm, remediating the soil of chemicals with plants and resources for mid-sized farms. On the remediation thing, I liked this from at Dean Citron, who wrote, quote, don't have contaminated soil here, but curious, do these plants take up and store those contaminations or convert them to something else? If stored in the plant, how or where can we dispose of them safely? Thank you. I'm enjoying your channel immensely. End quote. Thank you. And so yes, they mostly accumulate the chemicals / toxins rather than turn them into something else. This is why if, for instance, you're dealing with something fairly toxic like lead remediation, you would want to consult with someone to help you manage it so you're not handling the plants, and so you have a plan for disposing of them properly. I think it's very easy for somebody in my position to be like, yeah, just use the plants and get rid of it and then move on, or put a bunch of compost down and it'll fix it for you. But that would be a very reckless recommendation and potentially dangerous. So if you're actually dealing with actual contamination, really think seriously about it. At Asim Hollinshead asked, quote, how about offering an internship to college students who are interested in agriculture, end quote. And this is a thing people do. Hannah and I both interned, in fact, on a farm, and we even offered an internship on our farm one year, but we don't really have a place for that person to stay on this current farm. We also don't like asking people to work for free or cheap. Internships is a whole complicated topic that I've done a little bit on it before, and I'm happy to do more on it later. But yes, I mean, ideally, you're offering more opportunities for people to learn. So, maybe there's something there that people could work with. At Arkinso asked a good question too on the farm worker topic, quote, why is it assumed the business owner will do the desk work and phone calls? I don't have the business experience to understand this. Why can't you hire someone to do desk work and spend more time on the quote unquote fun stuff if that's what you prefer? End quote. Great question. So most farm owners who have employees can pick and choose a little bit, like what they do and what they don't do. Hiring out some of the back end stuff like, bookkeeping, taxes, and payroll and that sort of stuff is definitely a thing. And I suppose you could also hire someone to make the daily lists, organize tasks, communicate with customers, hire and fire people, forecast products, make the schedule work, write the SOPs, manage the workflow, manage the morale, and so on. But that's a lot of complicated and stressful work and would require managers who are highly skilled and trained well on your specific operations. So, you basically. And they'd be expensive. Not saying you can't get there, or that shouldn't be a goal of some farms. But as a farm owner with employees, those tasks are often relegated to you, which means you can still do some of what you love. For sure, you can do the tractor work, you can, do the pruning, the tomatoes, whatever it is you enjoy doing. But you become a manager of people, and that has to come first, or the farm won't be productive, or you'll have unhappy employees, etc. Again, farming is just a business. It's a stubborn fact, and frankly, a reason that we shrunk our farm. We just didn't enjoy that part as much as we needed to really grow this thing. Some people will love it and thrive in it though, and more power to them. We need as many of those people as we can possibly get. Absolutely. Anyway, great stuff as always this week, family. Up next, we will take a wild question about compost. You wouldn't guess it if you tried. You should try, but I don't know that you'll get it. Anyway, BRB. Today's episode of Growers Daily is brought to you by Peaceful Heritage Nursery. If you're looking for hardy and resilient fruit trees, berry plants, or pawpaw trees, then check out Peaceful Heritage Nursery. Peaceful Heritage Nursery LLC is a mail-order nursery shipping premium quality fruit trees and berry plants across the USA. They specialize in resilient, non-GMO plant genetics for small growers. Their diverse selection includes berries, cold hardy figs, passion fruits, gumi, mulberry, and much more. They're famous for their diverse selection of premium quality grafted pawpaw trees. 5-star Google ratings and customer testimonials attest to their commitment to excellence in quality and service. Find them at peacefulheritage.com and join the mailing list. Once again, find them at peacefulheritage.com. Use the promo code NOTILL for 10% off your first order. Today's episode is also brought to you by Tend. Farming is hard, running it shouldn't be. Meet Tend, the purpose-built platform built by farmers for farmers. Plan your season, map your farm, and track every task from seed to sale. No more spreadsheets, no more guesswork, just smart, seamless workflows. Tend adapts to your farm, 1 acre or 100. Real-time inventory, sales, labor, tracking, traceability, and analytics all in one place. You grow food, flowers, fruit, and more. Tend helps you to grow smarter. Start free today at tend.com. That's TEND.com. All right, back to the show. If you, the listener or viewer, are enjoying this podcast, getting even a small amount of value from it, consider supporting our work over at patreon.com/no-till-growers. I will try to get to questions from everywhere the questions come in, but I will always get to your Patreon questions. Now, today's Patreon question comes to us from Patreon member Colin Entz. That's a fun one to say, who writes, quote, Farmer Jesse, I made a post on a composting Facebook page that struck a lot of conversation. I had posted that I was running an experiment on my small 2-yard compost pile through the winter. My compost pile solely consists of leaves I had gathered due to a lack of nitrogen sources I had on hand because of the winter temperatures. I decided I would use DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, diluted in a bucket of water in my compost to see if it would help the leaf compost to heat up and overall just see what it would do. I posted this experiment on Facebook and wow, people had a lot of fun explaining and sharing ideas on the subject. I'm curious to hear your insight. Obviously, this compost wouldn't be considered organic and isn't the best option compared to complete organic compost, but as a thought experiment, I'd love to hear your take. Thanks, Colin, end quote. All right, Colin, thanks. This is super interesting, and I love challenging questions like this. So to start, this whole topic is going to take a little explaining because it may not be evident why someone would use something like this at first. First, diesel exhaust fluid, henceforth DEF, is not what it sounds like. It's not the fluid after diesel has been exhausted. It's not a diesel or petroleum product at all. DEF is a reactant substance whose intention is to reduce pollution, specifically the nitrous oxide produced through the use of diesel. And I'm going to guess that the reason Colin's mind likely went to this substance is that it is made up primarily of urea and deionized water, meaning that it contains a fairly heavy dose of nitrogen that quickly turns to ammonia in the heat of an engine and maybe a compost pile. DEF is essentially really potent urine. As Colin said, it would not be considered eligible for use on organic farms, but is it a bad idea? Well, there are studies on adding urea to compost that we can actually look to and maybe get some insight, and they are weirdly mostly positive or at least not super negative. One study found urea addition enhanced the activity of enzymes related to petroleum degradation in the composting of commercial pig manure with straw. It can speed up decomposition and improve the other enzymatic activities. I'm not surprised because after all, it is nitrogen and you need nitrogen for composting, but I am a little surprised just based on the fact that it's a synthesized substance and can pass through stuff pretty easily. Now, what isn't clear is how much of it is lost or what quantity/ratio is good to use, etc. Also, it should be emphasized with those like big red exclamation emojis that synthesized nitrogen, like urea, requires a significant amount of energy to produce to begin with, so it's not great in that sense. And I want to note that point specifically because although adding urea or urea-based products in this case to compost may be functional and not necessarily harmful, as an environmentalist, I'm not ever going to suggest leaning on something like this for compost production or for the energy used and the potential environmental impacts of leaching urea into your groundwater or whatever. There are plenty of wasted nitrogens out there or lower energy nitrogens out there, like perhaps fish hydrolysate that could be used if we are willing to seek them out. However, whether it works is a more of a scientific question. And if nothing else, it is interesting. And although I would not likely do something like this myself, it probably did indeed work and likely not with a ton of harm. Again, you wouldn't be able to use this in a certified organic compost, but it was a fun and challenging question there, Colin. I look forward to hearing what you all have to say about this. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, hobby farming, but actually farming for hobbies or hobbying for farms. You be the judge. Be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Certified Naturally Grown. Certified Naturally Grown is the grassroots certification built by farmers for farmers. C&G gives local growers like you recognition for the commitment of producing food without synthetic chemicals by assuring customers that your practices are verified. C&G's peer review inspection model keeps the cost of certification low while creating opportunities for knowledge sharing amongst a strong, supportive network of like-minded farmers. Apply today to be certified before the season ramps up. Applications processed within 7 days. Learn more at naturallygrown.org. All right, back to the show. Okay, so as a podcaster, over the years, some of my favorite interview conversations have actually happened before or after the record button is hit. And there are a lot of reasons that we talk off air. Sometimes there are things someone wants to talk about that aren't necessarily for public consumption. Sometimes we take time to wind up and then wind down without the pressure of the recording going, and so on. But oftentimes those are some of my favorite conversations. And this happened the other day when I was chatting with Mikey and Kez for next Wednesday's episode. Look forward to that. And after we got done recording, we were talking about sports and the analogies that I sort of make between farming and sports. As you know, I love me some dang sports. I always have. Big soccer nerd, big college basketball nerd. It's enigmatic, given my love of ecology and biology, perhaps, but sports are an ancient part of us, and by golly, I just enjoy them. But I also think that, for me personally, they are important to informing my farming and my farm business. In fact, all of my hobbies and interests are. It is easy when you are getting into a business, or even more so when you're deep into a business venture, to think that if you just consume nothing but farming and or business information, that will make you a better business owner. And it won't hurt per se, but that thinking can often cause some guilt around, other areas of interest for you, like perhaps sports, where you start to feel that if you're indulging in those, you aren't doing your job or you're wasting your time and so on. Now, I want to say right now that it's perfectly okay and perfectly even beneficial to just have other jobs or hobbies or interests, just to have them, just for the fact that you like doing them or like listening to them or learning about them. Totally fine, and please do that. But if you want to reduce that guilt factor, other hobbies can also absolutely inform your work as a farmer and business owner, and to me, they are absolutely a critical piece. Other interests provide insight and analogies that can help me explain what it is I do here better and give me unique ideas of how to farm or run a business. Like, for instance, if you're running a business with employees, team and chemistry management and team satisfaction are like huge parts of coaching in sports. So when we had employees and I was listening to soccer coaching podcasts, that's often where I was getting ideas for how to be a better youth soccer coach, sure, but also just a better farmer and business owner and manager, because I can apply those same ideas, how to inspire people to do hard work, how to relay complex ideas efficiently to new employees. All that stuff is what coaches go through all the time. Now, it doesn't have to be coaching. You could find helpful strategies and analogies in hearing from, bands who tour and how they stay organized, or their managers and how they keep morale up amongst the chaos, from restaurant owners and how they manage staff or supplies or billing, from stories of people's lives, from scientists, from chess podcasts, stuff you should know, ologies, This American Life, anywhere. Farming is a unique business, but it isn't alien. Every organization goes through similar struggles because we all have to survive the same weird economy. So anyway, I just feel like it's important, after chatting with them about this idea and not recording it, to take a moment to give everyone permission to simply have other hobbies or interests, even listening to different podcasts while you farm, after this one, of course, not just for your sanity, but it can also make you better at what you do, whatever that might be. I had a chef tell me once when I was working in kitchens to study cooking for at least 15 minutes every day. And I think, sure, that's totally a good idea, but I also think it's important just to study anything else for 15 minutes a day. I had a mentor in wine industry, in fact, who first emphasized this to me once when he saw that all I was reading was wine books, and basically said, have other interests and it will make you better at your job. That's part of the reason I try to talk about things that are just vaguely farm advice here. Sometimes it's all farming, even if it has nothing to do with farming on the surface. So yeah, go have a hobby or another interest, and just enjoy it. You may find that it comes back to help you in whatever your pursuits might be. Or, you know what, maybe it just opens a door with a customer that you didn't expect to have. Maybe they have an interest in history or whatever, and then you can dive into that with them. All right, I think that is it for this Friday. ramble. Don't forget that No Till Growers is a nonprofit 501c3, so donations are tax deductible. Greatly appreciated. You can learn more about how to do that in the show notes. Please make sure to like and subscribe and or follow wherever you're getting this podcast. That's an easy way to help us out as well. Enormous thank you to all of our show sponsors. And if you'd ever like to sponsor this show, you can reach out to Farmer Michelle at notillgrowers.com. Huge shouts to Willie Breeding for the theme music, Mike Hilbert for the production help and editing, and also my wife Hannah for absolutely everything in the world. Also, shouts to Epidemic Sound for the background music that you can hear. Pick up a hat or a copy of my book, The Living Soul Handbook, at notillgrowers.com to support our work. Big thank you to everyone over at patreon.com/notillgrowers, where at a certain level, or if you just bump up from one level to another, or you sign up in the month of February, you get a shout out on the show. So big shout outs today to Henry Vasali and Patrick Vetra. Oh, these names kind of bounce off one another. Very good stuff. All right, so as you will recall from yesterday, our snowboarder, Jessica, is out in the backcountry with her, snowboarding team, enjoying some amazing snow with some great weather, when all of a sudden, everyone hears a really loud noise, and they look behind them, and they see it. Barreling towards them, a massive, ball of snow. It's almost comical how round it is and how much it resembles like that image of like a snowball starting at the top of the hill and rolling and like compacting and like getting bigger and bigger as it goes down the hill. And it is doing exactly that. It is exactly what it is. And Jessica sees the helicopter, the one that is supposed to get them out of there, right in line of the snowball, like it is coming straight at it. And so Jessica, being the leader that she is, gets her team together and says, we're going to try and turn this thing. So they join together and they start carving a path with their snowboards, just everybody going in the same way, trying to move that giant snowball, just discourage it from going straight at the helicopter. And they're trying to get it to go into some trees. And in fact, they are totally successful at doing this. And in fact, for a few harrowing seconds, the snowball is definitely chasing after them. It's getting closer. It's getting more dangerous. But they indeed managed to turn it just enough to avoid that catastrophe. So they're not stuck in the mountains. Everyone is safe. And they, in fact, decide after that, thrilling moment to call it a day. And as they are leaving, they see it. Or them, I should say, right at the top of the mountain, rolling snowballs down, just aimlessly having fun. Two adolescent Yetis having a good old time, oblivious that they are about to blow up on the socials. Anyway, thanks for watching and or listening. We will see you Monday. Go Brighton.